Every country in the world uses American dollars to trade. China pays for oil in American dollars. Russia sells gas in American dollars. Your phone, your clothes, the food on your table, all of it passed through a system denominated in American dollars at some point. How did one country make its currency the air that the entire global economy breathes? And more importantly, what happens when that air starts running out? To understand how America built its empire, you first have to understand what the British Empire got wrong. Britain dominated the world for roughly 100 years. It had the most powerful navy, the world's financial center, and something called soft power: English language, English culture, English institutions. But Britain had three fatal weaknesses. First, it was tied to an ethnicity. It was a white Anglo-Saxon empire, and its racism limited how effectively it could rule and work with the people it conquered. Second, it ran on gold, and there is only so much gold in the world. That capped how large the game could get. Third, it was a small island, too small, too few people, too few resources to sustain a global empire forever. America looked at these weaknesses and built something designed to solve all three. The first fix was ideology. America told the world it was not a country built on ethnicity or history or bloodlines. It was a game, a set of rules, an idea, the American dream. You come, you work hard, you succeed. Your background does not matter. Your race does not matter. What matters is whether you play the game. That was the melting pot, open to anyone willing to assimilate, and that openness was a source of enormous strength because it meant America could constantly absorb talent, energy, and ambition from everywhere on Earth. The second fix was the dollar. Gold has limits, but a currency that is simply an idea, backed not by a metal but by the faith of every nation on Earth that it will hold its value, can expand without limit. At the end of World War II, America gathered the major powers together at a conference in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. There, in 1944, they set the rules for the post-war global economy. The US dollar would be the world's reserve currency. At first, the dollar was still tied to gold, so there was a ceiling on how many dollars could exist. But in 1971, Nixon pulled the plug on that arrangement. He announced that you could no longer exchange your dollars for gold at a fixed rate. The dollar was now just a concept, valuable because people wanted it. A Ponzi scheme that worked as long as everyone kept believing. To keep the belief alive, Nixon needed to create real demand for the dollar. He went to Saudi Arabia and made a deal. Saudi Arabia, the largest oil exporter in the world, would only accept payment for its oil in US dollars. This created the petrodollar. If you want oil anywhere on Earth, you need dollars first. That is not a small thing. That is the oxygen of the global economy being denominated in one currency. Then Nixon went to China, and this is the move that truly created the world we live in today. America gave China everything: market access, foreign investment, technology, military protection for Chinese shipping lanes, education for Chinese elites at American universities. Why would the most powerful country in the world hand all of this to a communist rival? One reason: to make China dependent on the dollar. If China trades with the world, it earns dollars. It keeps those dollars. It needs more dollars. And now China is locked into a system where its own prosperity is tied to the health of the American currency. This is not trade. This is empire. The British took resources by force. America created a system where other countries voluntarily locked themselves into dependence. For decades, this system worked brilliantly. The world economy grew. Hundreds of millions of people escaped poverty. America got rich overseeing the game. But then something started to break. America moved its manufacturing to China to save money. That made sense in the short term, but it meant that millions of American workers lost their jobs. The American economy shifted away from making things to making money, finance, speculation, the trading of financial instruments that have no connection to anything physical. In 2008, that speculative bubble burst. The financial crisis nearly brought down the entire global system. China stepped in to save it, spending trillions on infrastructure. And after doing that, China reasonably said, "We want a seat at the table. We want to compete, not just serve." America said no. Donald Trump's trade war was the explicit declaration: the game will be played by our rules, or it will not be played. And now Russia has invaded Ukraine, partly to take control of resources that the global price hierarchy had undervalued for decades, and the entire structure that America built at Bretton Woods is shaking. What the American game got right: it created the most open, dynamic, creative economic system in history. It really did give people from anywhere on Earth the chance to contribute and succeed based on merit. What it got wrong: it assumed the game could run forever without anyone else wanting to change the rules. It confused the game with justice. It thought that because it wrote the rules were fair. They were not always fair. And the people who felt that: China, Russia, the Americans who lost their manufacturing jobs, eventually said so loudly enough that the whole structure started to shake. We're in a period of game reset now. The old rules are being challenged from multiple directions at once. What comes next, whether a new equilibrium or something much worse, depends on whether any of the players are capable of designing a game that more people feel they can actually win. History says that is very hard to do, but it has been done